Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much indeed for coming along. So over the next few minutes, I want to share something that we at BacTech believe will transform the way the mining industry thinks about waste. It's a new green technology that turns what was once an environmental liability into a set of profitable, sustainable products. So the technology focuses on the materials we often overlook, which is mine tailings, and shows how they can become a valuable resource. So as you know, most mines produce tails. They've got to be neutralized, stored, monitored, sometimes forever. So they cost money, tie up land, carry long-term environmental risks. But those same tailings often contain iron, sulfur, and also trace metals that existing tailings or technologies can't recover economically. So every new operation just adds to that pile, and acid mine drainage is an ongoing issue. So our challenge was quite simple. What if that mine waste didn't have to be waste at all? So over the last 3 years, both here in Australia and also in Canada, we've undertaken laboratory development work to create a brand new process that uses ammonia, a recognised green commodity of the future, to transform those wastes containing iron sulfides into two valuable products, magnetite, a feedstock for steel manufacturing, and also ammonium sulfate, a widely used fertiliser. So we believe this process is cost efficient, it's clean, doesn't leave any sludge, there's no carbon dioxide produced, and no acid mine drainage. So patent applications are now in place for that process. So it's actually a very simple concept, but very powerful in impact, because we're really turning waste into wealth. So here's where it gets interesting, because the sale of those products, the magnetite, ammonium sulfate, they generate new cash flow. And that revenue funds the recovery of the residual metals still in the tailings, which were sub-economic to recover. And that includes copper, cobalt, nickel, gold, platinum group metals. The ammonia chemistry is very amenable for selective recovery of many metals and elements. So we've really created a self-funding process that the waste creates products, those products pay for the cleanup, and the cleanup allows us to capture metals, but more importantly, it remediates land, it creates land value. So essentially what we've done is to transform an environmental cost into an economic opportunity. So beyond the economics, we've got really strong strategic and environmental advantages. So we have no tailings, there's no liability. We're creating land value, strong ESG credentials, critical metal recovery from surface waste. There's no need to go underground for all the metals we need. They're already at surface. They've already been mined, crushed, ground, and they're just sitting there waiting to be recovered. So we create pure magnetite for green steel and don't need iron ore for that. The pure fertiliser for agriculture, that's a fertiliser product that bypasses the sulphur industry created from petroleum-derived products. So there's no price coupling between the fertiliser and petroleum industries. It's hydrogen economy compatible using green ammonia. And the diversity of the product mix means that you're no longer exposed to fluctuations in long-term metal price for long-term investment projects where we're looking at retreating legacy tailings. So the system is modular and actually very flexible. So it can treat legacy tailings, but what mining companies are looking at is potentially bolting these onto existing operations to capture the last 5 or 10% of metals which are constantly going to waste. So it really creates value from existing operations, legacy tailings, and also future mines, because basically, if we are creating revenue from what used to be wealth, it has a profound impact on the future of mine planning, because basically it has the potential to lower the cut-off grade and also expand the resource. So it's not just clean technology, but it's strategic technology. We can also take acid mine drainage and create value from that as well. So whichever way you look at it, any liability you have, we are actually creating an asset from that. So where are we at with the technology and scaling? So our company BacTech's been involved in implementing environmentally driven process technologies for the last 30 years or more. But and we've had projects on multiple continents. But this green technology is really in its infancy, and we're really looking for industrial partners to help us develop the technology and deploy it at sites. Really what we're seeing here is a shared value for everybody. It can be shared value for the government because it's strategic. We're basically looking at creating new ammonium sulfate fertilizer industries in countries that are very dependent upon fossil fuel supply for sulfur. And also the mining industries themselves, and also the shareholders. So let me just conclude by looking at our philosophy. You know, we're really seeing that why are we mining new materials when basically all the metals we need are actually at surface, crushed and ground? And we're creating a process with green chemistry here, economic recovery and sustainable mining. So what we're saying is that tailings dams are actually our feedstock reservoirs for the future. And this isn't a band-aid solution. We're not doing something for eternity. It is permanent cleanup. So what I would ask is that those of you that have a similar vision to ourselves, then come and see us and see if we can partnership to move this technology into end users for operations and treating legacy tails. So we're at booth L25, and come along and pick up a flyer. Thanks very much for your attention. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks.